Dear students, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Army Public School PMA Kakul Abbottabad Resource Network. Students, I am your teacher Safina Jahanzeb. Before we start our today's subject, science, students please subscribe the page and click the bell icon. In our today's subject, we are going to discuss about the habitat. We will introduce about the habitat. Afterwards, we will define all main points which are going to relate with habitat. We will define it one by one. Students, in this slide you can see we will start our lecture from the second chapter of the book. Before starting my topic, I want to share that Chapter 1, the life cycle of animals, is excluded from syllabus. So our first chapter in this way will be introducing habitat. Before starting the lecture, I just want to present a short view of the topic point-wise. Students, as you can see, in this first slide, we will define definition of habitat. Afterwards, we will discuss some those common habitats which exist in the world. And in the last, we will define all those environmental factors which affecting any habitat. Students, now we are going to differentiate among the terms habitat, organisms, population, and community. We are going to define these one by one. First of all, we are going to define the definition of organism. What is organism? Any living thing which try hard to survive in any environment is called organism. For example, animals, plants, human being, insects, and microorganisms are examples of organism. So it's clearly defined that an organism must be a living thing. In this way, all animals, human, insects, and microorganisms which are existing around us are organisms. Students, here a word microorganism is present. What does it mean? Microorganism means those organisms which can be visible through advanced microscope are microorganisms. Second definition is about habitat. What is habitat? Habitat is a place where an organism or living thing lives. A habitat provides organisms with everything they need to survive, such as food, water, and air. This second definition is about habitat, on which our whole chapter is based. Students, habitat is a place or area where any living organism lives and the availability of food, water, and air is present. It's called habitat of that organism. Students, in this slide, now we are going to discuss about the population. What is population? Population is basically a group of organisms of the same kind that live together. Students, if we define the definition of population through examples, the first example is when people lives in groups, it is called population of man. The second example of population is group of or population of elephants. And the third example is population of giraffes. Students, here in picture number 1, you can see a group of elephant is present in a forest land. It is a group of same animal which is elephant. In this way we can say it is the population of elephant. Same like this, in second picture, here a group of animal again present. It's the same group of giraffes. So we can say it is the population of giraffes. So in this way, a group of same animal which is existing in any habitat, then we can say it is population. Students, now we are going to discuss about the community. We will define it through example. The definition of community is when different population of plants, animals, insects, and people live in same place or habitat, it forms a community. All these organisms within a community interact and depend on one another. Students, in this picture you can say there are a lot of animals present. Here plants are present. So a group of different animals when present in a place, then we can say it is a community. Students, now we are going some common habitats which are existing in the world. After defining the definition, now we are discussing major and common habitats which exist all over around. In this slide, we can see a picture where a warm, a highly temperature and a scarcity of water based habitat is present, which is called desert habitat. As we discuss about habitat, there are many different types of habitats in the world. They can be huge, such as a desert, or small, such as pond. Normally, climate of any desert is extremely warm and scarcity of water is happened. Camel is one of our organism which can survive in a desert. So in this picture, you can observe desert habitat. Extremely warm weather, highly temperature, and direct cast of sunlight over land define nature of this habitat. It is very hard to survive every organism in this extreme habitat. Camel is the simplest example of desert habitat. It can survive in the region without water more than a month. Other examples of animals in this area are snakes, cactus, lizards, and scorpions. Here in this slide, we will discuss another type of habitat which nature is totally different from desert habitat, which is the Arctic habitat. Another example of habitat is Arctic region or North Pole of the globe. Basically, the temperature of this region is extremely cold and sunlight does not reach directly to this area. Further, the survival of every animal in this region is not possible because accessibility to food and water is very difficult to any organism. As in Arctic area, some nature specified organisms can survive like polar bear, polar fox, snow leopard, penguins, and polar seals. In this picture, the polar bear has layers of fat and fur skin over the body, which can help keep the polar bear warm in the cold. Dear students, besides these two examples, there are more common examples of habitats are pond habitat, rainforest habitat, mangrove habitat, mountains, and garden habitat. We will discuss about all these habitat in our next lecture. Students, now it's your assignment kindly to search these habitats with diagram and also mention all those animals, all those insects which exist in these habitats. Student, this slide is about the major environmental factor of a habitat. How these environmental factors are going to affect any type of habitat. There are two types of environmental factors that affect the survival and existence of the organism. The first one factor is living factors, and the second factor is non-living or physical factors. In living factors, it includes availability of food and presence of other organisms. As we know, plants make their food by their own self, but animals have to find. Many animals depend on plants for their food. In second point or second factor, we are going to discuss its 5 points. First one is temperature, how temperature is going to affect nature of any habitat. The second one is water, third one is light, fourth one is air, and the last one is soil. Students, as we know that temperature is very important to any habitat. Now we are going to discuss how the temperature affects any habitat. Whether the temperature of that area or that place is very high, moderate, or very low. As we know, the temperature of the desert habitat is extremely high. So, some few animals can live in that such type of habitat. Second point or second factor of non-living is water. Student, we know water is life. Without the presence of water, life is not possible. For plants, for animals, or for any organism, water is very important. Fishes cannot live without water. But there are some animals which need lots of water, and some animals are there which need less water. So in this way we can say without the presence of water, life is not possible. In third point, we are going to discuss about the light. In any habitat, light is very important. Student, we know that without light or without sunlight, plants cannot make their food. There are animals some sort of which cannot live without light. So the presence of light is very essential to any habitat. The fourth point which we are going to discuss is air. Student, oxygen is very necessary for every type of organism. Without air, no animal can exist. Plant needs carbon dioxide to make their food, and other organisms like animal, human being, insects or microorganisms need oxygen to live. So without the presence of air or without the presence of oxygen and carbon dioxide, life or habitat cannot exist. In last point, we are going to discuss about the soil. Soil is very important for plants and organisms. Plants take their water and food from this soil. And there are some type of insects like earthworm which cannot live without soil. But the nature of soil may be differ from place to place. Like earthworm needs loose soil. So garden habitat is the best habitat for earthworms. Students, in this last slide, now I will present a short summary of the whole lecture which we have discussed. As we know, in the starting we define the definition of organism, habitat, population and community. Afterwards, we discussed some common habitats of organisms. In this regard, the first one was desert habitat. Then we discussed the Arctic habitat with example. The further common habitats of organisms are ponds habitat, mountain habitat, mangrove habitat and garden habitat. And in the last of the lecture, we defined some important environmental factors of a habitat. In this regard, we have defined two types of factors which are going to affect the nature of a habitat. The first one was living factor and the second was physical factor or non-living factors. So students, after summarizing today's lecture. Hopefully it's clear to all. If there is any query, any question, you can ask about it. Students, now I would like to wind up my topic and want to say goodbye to everyone. Thank you so much.